Is there any author propped up by governments and corporations more than Margaret Atwood? This is the lady who made The Handmaid's Tale, one of the cringiest feminist books ever in existence. Of course, they made it into some degenerate TV and the like. And they're flipping out. And this is more and more. Local governments are taking control of their school systems and saying, you know what, our school libraries are using tax dollars, which again, using tax dollars to buy books that are inappropriate for children and then putting them in our school libraries. We're going to put a stop to that. And it's a good thing. The library system is actually, if you don't know the scam the library system is that props up mainstream publishing and creates this whole ecosystem of just wokeness over and over and over again. I'm going to explain all that to you too. It's been a terrible thing. But Margaret Atwood is really melting down over this because of a Canadian school in Alberta, of all places, that is saying no to having this because of the explicit sex scenes involved. And she's pretending she doesn't know why it's in like a problem and being super passive aggressive. If this was a man, obviously we'd be making fun of him for being such a gamma male over this. But we kind of expect this behavior from angry women, and that's exactly what the culture has become and what the book publishing industry has become as well. Angry women spouting their feminist crap and demanding that everybody have it shoved down their throats. So let's make a change today, guys. I'm glad we're doing so. Please hit the like and subscribe button as we talk about all things books and the culture and the like. This is your real fantasy news. Fantasy. This is Margaret Atwood's fantasy, I guess. It's weird, but it is. She made this Handmaid's Tale into what it is. I am a writer myself. I do science fiction and fantasy primarily, and so if you like my thoughts on writing and the like, you might enjoy my books. But I am actually a #1 best-selling author in religious philosophy right now for my new book called Churchianity. Now, Churchianity, or Christianity, is under attack from feminism, from woke ideology, just like everything else, and they're being preyed upon because these churches of just like that Christian desire to do good and to be nice. And so people are, of course, duped by this quite a bit, very often. And I have a treatise here on just like what to look out for, what we need to do, a call to return to tradition. And I really appreciate you guys for making this just go crazy. I've never had a book launch like this in my life. Apparently, people are starved for the truth out there. And it is my first foray into nonfiction, and I'm very glad that it's out there. So please check it out. It's in the description below. It's available on Kindle and paperback. We are working on an audiobook right now for those who enjoy that way. And so that's in the description below. And thank you for reading and for supporting us, guys. I got my first, quote, negative review. You can see just how people see. They watch my channel and they get mad at me. And here it is. Misses the mark completely. This is the funny part. A friend sent me information about this book. So I did some research on John, that's me, and Vox, who wrote my foreword. Based on what I learned, I wouldn't touch this book with a 10-foot pole. So look at this right here. Again, this is a fraudulent review because this person didn't read the book, didn't buy the book even, and just didn't like what they found on, whatever website they were looking, maybe Reddit or Blue Sky, about me and the guy who wrote my foreword, which has, again, nothing to do with the book whatsoever. If you really want to know God and join him in his work on earth, do what Jesus said to do with the church. People won't be impressed with your version of the gospel spewed in your bold words. People want a real God who's present with them where they are, not another guilt-ridden Christian who's ashamed of themselves. I don't know where this person gets that I'm ashamed of myself or anything like that, but wild. But you could see they always do this to my books. They just come in, don't even read the book, leave these nasty reviews to try to hurt my star rating, and I'm used to it at this point. But this is what the left does. They hate everything. They want to make everything into their own little social justice misery, whether it's Christianity, whether it's feminism in the schools, and that's exactly what Margaret Atwood is trying to push right here with The Handmaid's Tale. So she's the author of this. She gets flown around the world to speak at conferences, and of course, she's speaking at some conference. Actually, she actually linked the speech to one of her conferences while these corporations fly her around the world. And she's put into these school libraries at this point because there are graphic sex scenes in there, if you don't know. There's one where the main character is forced to lay between another woman's legs while the woman watches her have sex with her husband in a bizarre fetish scenario. The husband later takes this woman to a brothel because the women have no rights. And it's explicit. It actually is. Now the TV show goes worse with it. They make it really degenerate on the TV show. This is described a little differently in here, but it is very much described, and that is therefore something I would not put in front of children ever. because that's what a rational adult does. Now, the library system, like I said at the beginning of this video, is a big scam. There are public fundings from cities, states, and governments where they get millions of dollars to buy books from traditional publishing. They don't really buy books from independent publishing. It's always from the traditional publishing housing, the Big Five, as they're called. And the traditional publishing is pushing this agenda over the books that are out there at this point. Everything that you put out has to be not written by a white male. Everything that you put out has to be pro-LGBTQ or pro-BIPOC, they call it, which is Black, Indigenous, Person or Color, pro-feminist, all of it, right? And they are doing that and blacklisting anything that doesn't have those elements to it. It's absolutely crazy. I've seen agents refuse to pick up manuscripts just because a white male wrote things at this juncture. And they're propped up because this is not working in the market. As you know, bookstores are closing. There's pretty much Amazon out there. And what sells on Amazon, the top-selling Amazon category, by the way, is not this stuff. It's hockey romance, where like a woman falls in love with a like dashing super alpha male hockey player. I'm dead serious. Don't go down that rabbit hole. But that's, you know, people buy mostly popcorn reads for fun. That's what they do. So this type of stuff gets propped up. And it's not propped up by them just like using the expression of art and all that. It's propped up by local libraries ordering these copies in the thousands. And they do. And they order the copies in the thousands. And what it does is make it so these authors don't actually have to compete in the marketplace. And then they just end up in these library systems where nobody ends up reading these books. But they ended up selling, you know, because how many libraries are there across America that's buying Handmaid's Tale? I mean, I don't even know how many libraries there are in America. We can Google that real quick. How many libraries are there in America? This is what we do on the channel that nobody else does, right? 120,000 libraries. So if every one of them bought A Handmaid's Tale, it's an automatic #1 bestseller with selling over 100,000 copies. Margaret Atwood automatically makes $300K for this, and you can see how this goes. Now, if half of them even do that, the person's making over 100K a year just from library sales. And that's just in the United States. That's your tax dollars funding these authors. Like I said, they don't have to compete. This is the thing nobody ever talks about. Now, of course, there are school libraries as well, which is a separate thing because these are places where only children are reading. These are under 18 for the most part. I mean, some high schools have people at 18, but for the most part, these are under 18, and it's something that you have to have appropriate material in there because it's in front of kids. Very, very obvious. So the purchasing decisions to buy stuff with explicit sex in it should obviously, in any sane society, not be doing this. So here we go. She made more than 200 books meant to be pulled from Edmonton public schools. Good for her. Now, she acts like she's some big oppressed thing. Like I said, she's a multimillionaire propped up by the publishing industry. Do you know who's actually blacklisted, doesn't get into any libraries ever? Yeah, well, raising my hand here. Yeah, you're so oppressed, Margaret Atwood, just like the people in your story. They're such liars. They're propped up so big by your tax dollars, by corporations that then fund all this stuff as well. And it's ridiculous that these people act like they're somehow anti-establishment in some kind of way. So this is what she got. And she attacks the school board and actually calls them stupid babies here. Here's a piece of literature by me suitable for 17-year-olds in Alberta schools, unlike, we are told, The Handmaid's Tale. Sorry, kids, your Minister of Education thinks you're stupid babies. Gosh, brutal. I mean, look at how angry she is about this. John and Mary were both very, very good children. They never picked their noses or had bowel movements or zits. They grew up and married each other, had 5 perfect children without ever having sex. They then claimed to be Christian. They paid no attention to what Jesus actually said about the poor and the good Samaritans and forgiving your enemies in this. Listen to this. This is weird. Like, why? This is a weird, creepy, crash-out, passive-aggressive rant right here about, like, this is what they actually want in there. What's this deal like about her like Christianity and what Jesus actually said about the poor? What is, putting Margaret Atwood, a multi-garillionaire's books into a school library have to do with the poor or the good Samaritan? Or, this is crazy, right? But this is how they act. They are crazy people, right? Because they worshipped Ayn Rand, though they ignored the scene in the Fountainhead where where welcomed rape is advocated, because who wants to dwell? And also, who would have involved sex would be in de facto pornographic. That was a gross scene. And by the way, I don't know that the Fountainhead is something that you put in school libraries for children either. I mean, that's a great point. I mean, I don't think we're being inconsistent here. You're being inconsistent, Margaret Atwood. but it's very weird. And they never died because who wants to dwell on, death and corpses and yuck? They lived happily ever after. But while they were doing that, The Handmaid's Tale came true, and Danielle Smith found herself with a nice new blue dress, but no job. The end. Wow. This is an angry, angry rant. I mean, what a nut job here. And this just goes to show, these nut jobs really shouldn't be pushing their weird ideology of insanity on the populace to begin with. But hey, that's another story. Right now, we're just trying to keep the graphic sex scenes away from kids, and that's a little too much for her. Again, I don't know what that has to do with claiming to be Christian and things like that, except for, is this another one where Margaret Atwood is not a Christian? We're going to find out again. This is Margaret Atwood, a Christian. I asked her about religion. Okay, here we go. She was baptized. Okay, why can't they just answer, right? People ask me, are you a Christian? I go, yes. And this is what's always scary. Baptized. Okay, where's the baptized part? Okay, by Lutheran pastor. Used to be a Catholic nun. Like in the Handmaid book, I have lived, not just worked, but lived in the camps shaped by the Bible. I've been molded by this. The way we did dishes together when we met okay. So are you? This is it. Holy crap, this lady's nuts. I grew up to be a feminist, writer, and scholar. What does that have to do? She doesn't answer the question. Well, if it looks like a witch and it acts like a witch, might be a witch, right? That's what I have to say about this type of stuff. Wow, this woman's obviously very troubled in the way that she writes everything, and it has no place in school libraries, very obviously. So she reposted this, pretending that all these other classic books should be, quote, banned. Pride and Prejudice, The Black Stallion, which is a classic kids book. Clearly the liberals have found a way to sneak critical race theory into otherwise decent story about a horse. And you can see this is obviously a fake article that she's posting. Moby Dick, of course, the Canterbury Tales, Count of Monte Cristo, and Fahrenheit 451, and it's just nonsense she's posting, right? Pretending like, again, a graphic fetish sex scene in a book is equivalent to the Black Stallion. I mean, it's very bizarre. But again, these people just are out of their minds. So she posted on Substack. Also, I've had multiple response for comment on this because she's just going and going and going about this, about what it contains in my text-to-speech. So she did a speech about this because, she's so oppressed. Funny part about this, as she links to her Substack, she actually spelled her own name wrong. So instead of Atwood, she put A-Wood, and so it leads to a broken link. So people couldn't actually access it from X. But I went on there anyway, and I've got it, and she says, I can't comment, and this is where she gets really disingenuous, why I don't know it's been banned, for describing what American theological dictatorship could look like, because it portrays evil. Is it evil to portray evil? What? They're very weird. If so, bye Bible in Shakespeare. Because that's part of the power play. It perverts Christianity and rewrites the Bible, unlike everyone else ever. Because lots of places I have banned this book, and Alberta didn't want to be left out. And because it has sex in it, even though it's not sexy sex. Now look at this. All of these straw man arguments, because she doesn't actually have a real argument. She's pretending like she doesn't know why it's banned. Oh, it must be because of these Christians who are fake Christians. She's loving that argument, isn't she? She's going off on that. But when asked, she can't even talk about it. And then she gives the real answer in the middle of this, pretending it's not, she has no idea. Because it has sex in it. Yes, that's why it is banned from a children's library, you idiot. Even though it's not sexy sex. So that's the standard? If it's not enjoyable, these people are crazy. Because it had head coverings, you look at, again, a straw man again. Why? Yes, because it has graphic sex in it, period. I mean, that should be pretty obvious. But this is how these people react. They're absolutely insane, and this is what they want. They want this whole victimhood oppression Olympics sort of thing full-time when they're the most propped up by fake, institutions out there that are paid for by all of our tax dollars. It needs to stop. So I wish we could end this whole system entirely because somebody actually left a comment on this, on X when I was talking about it, was like, what are you doing? You shouldn't want to ban books. You're an author, blah, 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 blah. This is just a school, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, yeah, well, I guess that's the real thing. While I would like this ban because children shouldn't be accessing disgusting things, the real answer is ban public schools. And then we don't have a problem, right? Leave a comment down below with what you think about this. Hit the like and subscribe button. If you want to read something that is, of course, not approved by the establishment, not going to be out there, this is great for you. Churchianity talks about the real problems that the churches face right now, which are the corruption by people like Margaret Atwood, who are trying to tell you your faith is somehow wrong and that Jesus was somehow wrong, because they want to bend things into this weird feminist ideology, which is very, very, very subversive. So please check this out. It's in the description below. Thank you for making me a #1 religious philosophy bestseller. That's crazy. I can't believe that actually happened. And I appreciate you guys so much for reading. It's in the, like I said, it's in the description below. We'll be back soon.